Okay. Hi guys. Today, I'm gonna be doing a review on one of the worst decades ever, the 1910s. Yes, 1910s is a decade that runs from January 1st, 1910 to December 31st, 1919. I must say this decade fucking sucks. It's just as bad as, any other decade really. Um, This is the last decade, though, before modernity really takes over, in my opinion. Although, if you think about it, though, the 20th century kind of starts the whole modernity bullshit, you know? But yeah. Anyways, 1910s, what was a mess about it? Well, 1911, the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory happened, which was fucking terrible. 1912 was when the Titanic sunk. Let's see. 1914, World War I fucking starts. You got that happening. And then also the Lusitania also sinks in 1915. Then there's a lot of riots and stuff by the KKK and all that bullshit. But a bright side about this decade, we get to see the starts of the careers of Charlie Chaplin, Harold Lloyd, Stan Laurel, Oliver Hardy, Buster Keaton, who would later become legends, which is pretty cool. I like that. Satire was way different. There was this thing called blackface, I think, which would definitely be banned today. I think that blackface phase faded around the 40s, I'm pretty sure. Three Stooges used it, but honestly, it's satire. I don't really consider it as offensive as, actual, terrible stuff. What the KKK was doing during this time was way worse, in my opinion. But yeah, KKK, just fuck them, honestly. Fuck those motherfuckers. They did they were racially motivated, by the way. The lynchings, the burnings, the rioting, the looting. It was originated by the KKK. This is why I say, the 20th century starts the whole modernity bullshit, you know what I mean? Yeah, 1910s, like I said, though, similar to the 1900s, somewhat to the 1890s. Movies are not quite there yet, in my opinion. Movies kind of suck, to be honest. It was The Birth of a Nation, which sucked. I'm not really interested in watching it. What else was there? Movies. I think Dr. Caligari was 1920s, technically. Some people say it was made in 1919. It's quite weird, I know. Well, so 1910 saw the rise of... It started seeing the rise of cars a bit in the 1910s, especially when you get later to the 1910s. But the modernity process in terms of that doesn't really start till the 1920s. And yeah, this is, I guess, the last old school decade, in a way. Because, it's sort of like in the mix between old and new school when it comes to, transportation. So you see, half horses, half cars, which is pretty cool. Fashion, like the 1900s, fucking excellent. Suits and dresses, yeah. Still have that going. And what else? I'm trying to think. Music. Music's better than the 1900s, I'd say. Although, music is kind of simplistic in the 1910s. Not gonna lie. Well, we do see the rise. Well, we do see the debut of Louis Armstrong in the 1910s, which is pretty cool. Unfortunately, the two people we lose in this decade are Scott Joplin and Theodore Roosevelt. Yep, They both died in this decade, which sucks. There was the Treaty of Versailles that happened in 1919. The Selective Service Law gets passed in 1917, which is still to effect to this day. What else happens? The 14 points with Woodrow Wilson. That happens. Woodrow Wilson is also part of this decade. He sucks, honestly. Very racist guy. He was pro-segregation, which is shitty. What else is about the 1910s? I think Taft was president for a bit of the 1910s. I'm not sure. Yeah, he was like 1910 to 1912, 13-ish, yeah. He was the president after Theodore Roosevelt. He didn't really do much. What else? Trying to think what else happened in 1910s. Oh, yeah. There was a lot of, like, you know, terrible shit happening. There was the Red Summer of 1919 that I read about, where, a black guy was in the beach. He passed over, like, the line, and the white people attacked him, which is fucked up. Yeah. And then it led to the whole fucking Red Summer of 1919, which is a fucking crazy summer. The 1919 summer, yeah, it's one of the worst summers in history. The worst summer in history has to occur around the 1940s, I'd say. The whole World War II bullshit. But yeah. 1910s fucking sucks. It's a bullshit decade. It's one of the worst decades ever. Was it worse than the 2010s? Yes. Is it worse than this decade? Yes. I don't care. This decade's worse than both the 2010s and the 2020s. This decade actually fucking sucks. Like, the 2020s is boring, but it's not bad to the extent the 1910s was, you know what I mean? 1910s was just fucking terrible. Economy was shit. Prices were, again, they were pretty cheap compared to, like, the more modern decades, I guess, you know. Movies weren't really a thing yet, if you think about it. They were starting out since the 1900s, 1890s, whatever. First film was in the 1880s, if you think about it, but, you know. Yeah, what else is the last old school thing about this decade before all the modernity takes over? There's still no antibiotics. What else is another thing about 1910s? No antibiotics. What else? I'm trying to think. Cars are not fully taking over yet, like I said. Let's see. What else is another old school thing about the 1910s? Trying to think. I don't know. The style, I guess. Lifestyle was still kind of similar to the 1900s and somewhat to the 1890s. See a lot of people wearing hats in the 1910s. Men and women, yeah, they were wearing hats back then a lot. The architecture, honestly, I say it starts to suck around the early 20th century, in my opinion. Like, late 19th century was the last good time for architecture, in my opinion. Art starts to suck in the 20th century, especially, like, after, like, the very early part of the 20th century. You start to notice it. But, yeah. Art is still okay, I guess. 1900s slightly better when it comes to art. What other things got invented? I'm gonna look it up real quick. 1910s inventions. Because I know 1900s had a fair share of good ones. Okay. 1910s inventions. So, here's what got invented in the 1910s. bakelite plastic, escalators, tea bags, cellophane, instant coffee, disposable razor blades. Yeah, those were all invented in the 1910s or the 10s, whatever. Yeah, those are some good inventions, I guess. I say the 1910s had, well, 1900s, I meant, had better inventions. Had the airplane, air conditioning, all that shit. Ice cream was also invented. The hamburger was invented and stuff. Yeah, 1910s. Very, very, very shitty decade. Now I'm gonna rate the decade out of 10. I'll just be straight up honest here. This is worse than the 1900s. I'll be fucking honest. Ugh. I'll give it like a fuck 3.3 out of 10. Drastic decline from the 1900s, in my opinion. Not a very serene decade at all. Not an exciting or euphoric decade. It's just a depressing decade. And yeah, it's fucking sucks. It fucking sucks. The only good sign about this decade is it's the last decade before modernity really starts to take over. You know? But yeah. It's dog shit. 1910s anyways. Peace.